जब हमारे परिवार के बुजुर्गों की सेहत और देखभाल की बात होती है तो घर पर इन होम केयर वाला ऑप्शन सबसे बढ़िया है। अनलॉक का पेस प्रोग्राम एक ऐसा कन्वीनियंट एंड पर्सनलाइज्ड ऑप्शन है जिसके जरिए हमारे बुजुर्ग घर पर हमारे साथ रहकर यही देखभाल और सेवा का लाभ उठा सकते हैं। अब चाहे वो घर पर रहे या अनलॉक वाले पेस सेंटर में आए, उनको वही डेडिकेटेड एंड प्रोफेशनल केयर मिलेगी। अनलॉक ने बुजुर्गों की सेहत को अपना प्रायोरिटी बना लिया है। और जानने के लिए 1855-308-0195 पे कॉल करें। That's 1855-308-0195. After months of screen time and no play dates, the Children's Discovery Museum is open for Purple Play Days of Summer. It's time to rediscover the wonder. Climb on the fire engine, splash around in the waterworks, blow bubbles, and scale the tree climber in Bill's backyard. Oodles of hands-on arts and culture, STEM, health, and nature-themed exhibits await your family. The Giant Purple Museum is open every day, Wednesday through Sunday. Reservations are required at cdm.org. That's cdm.org.
Top of the morning, Bay, with Good Morning Bay.
Get to know about the traffic on your way and what's news around the world today.
Some wisdom skills along the way.
Oh, and a song to hum along with and sway.
Get your perfect entertaining start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's Good Morning
Bay.
आप सभी लोग हमारी तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते,
नमस्कार,
वनकम,
नमस्कार,
खुशामदीद,
अस्सलाम वालेकुम,
सत श्री अकाल,
మీకు అందరికీ వందనము,
जय स्वामी नारायण,
जय श्री कृष्ण,
जय जनेंद्र।
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोलते याली मदद,
मौलाली मदद बोलते हुए सारे फीजी मतलब को बोल के नीसा बुला बंदजान, हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे। मैं से फालतू बाबा
and of course myself फालतू रानी लेकर आपके लिए एक और drive time that's going to make it totally exciting and totally मस्तानी बन जाने।
Alright, Badajan, I know you guys are actually probably on the way to your office and saying, oh my god, the office is on, the thing has started. But actually many people are excited to go to the office nowadays, Faltu Rani. Do you know why?
Why?
They get to listen to their cars.
Yeah. Exactly. That's
what
true.
kind of a laugh was that? Was a cynical kind of a laugh, like, you know, one of those villains of those, you know, the James Bond movies. Yeah.
Luckily, I wasn't doing this.
That was not James Bond. Yeah, that was Austin Powers.
I know. That's
James Bond, different Batrani.
I said, luckily, I wasn't doing that. Okay, Alto, pay attention. Yeah.
But then all you got to pay attention to that is for the awesome traffic I'm going to give you guys. But then traffic update brought to you by me.
It's time for the Bandu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
That's right, but then if I have missed out any spot on the road where you actually are, you're stuck right now and you say, "Amay, Alta Papa, you didn't talk about this place." Please give me a call and let me know. I'm not going to be saying, you're being too picky. I'm not going to do all this thing. I'm going to actually accept your thing, and because I know the people behind you are probably going to benefit with the traffic update you're giving them at the jam. Let me tell you what's happening. There's actually a fire on 580 eastbound exiting at 980 Bandajan. If you notice, 980 is one of the freeways in much discussion nowadays because of the fact that they're saying they have to clear it out so they can make more room for Oakland to grow. So that's but I don't know why the fire is, what the fire, there's no information about that, but it actually is impacting traffic big time. The traffic is so bad, also goes into Emeryville, Bandajan, and please watch out and drive very carefully. Now, while we're in that vicinity, there also is a highway advisory on eastbound 80 Bandajan. So, the sad part is the fire might spread also because of the fact that there's a highway advisory very close by, which is near the bridge, that's Treasure Island ke aaspaas mein Bandajan. Some sluggish traffic on 880, which is expected, anticipated for every morning, but Friday typically I always to experience a light traffic on Fridays. But again, my experience actually stems from the last 12 years, Banajan. Prior to pre-COVID, I somehow have forgotten how it was. I used to actually give 5 minutes to 6 minutes of traffic update generally in those times. But nowadays it's come down to just a few. But today is the heat advisory. Please watch out. We're going to jump into the 90s, Banajan. That's right. right? Upper 90s over here in the Bay Area, South Bay, I should say, because Cupertino, Santa Clara County, and other places. So watch out. Hydrate. There's no clouds in the air right now. That's because of the fact that we're going to have the heat wave. They probably already melted away or dissipated because of the heat, Banjam. So watch out. And I told you yesterday itself, 4 o'clock is going to be the flex warning for many, not warning, actually flex request to make sure you turn your air conditionings off. Rather, don't put too much of load on the network is what they're saying for the power part of it. So please be mindful about those things. And what else? That's all I have for you right now with the weather and the traffic. Banjan, the way good thing is not much of traffic in the South Bay part of it. People are actually probably staying home or driving very carefully and making sure they're doing some defensive driving on the roads. But that's very important. But right now it's time for us to go and take a look at what's happening with the news for you guys. Faldrani, what do we have which passes up as news nowadays?
Pharma giant Pfizer has begun pitching for a booster shot of the coronavirus vaccine, saying the efficacy of its two-shot regimen declines after 6 months.
You know, I have a very strong feeling. Here's what my thing is, Baltrani. I think Pfizer suddenly felt that they didn't make enough money initially. So they want to make more money out of the whole thing, so actually pushing for the booster shot.
Well, yeah, it's kind of disappointing because, Pfizer shots were given to a lot of the 16-year-olds and a lot of the individuals who have developmental disabilities as well.
So sometimes there's also the capitalist market, Banjam, where they want to make money.
Yeah.
We don't know what's happening. And unfortunately, there's a situation where we don't know whether it's a genuine request or it's just a way for them to make money. We know how they are. They're the people who actually are devils in those coats. Formal wear.
Yeah, so in an implicit rebuke of the pushiness with which a third dose is being proposed, US agencies are saying a determination of this is yet to be made. Science will dictate the process, and for now, a booster shot is not called for. The clash between drug industry and US government surfaced on Thursday after Pfizer and the German firm BioNTech announced that they plan to seek FDA approval for a booster shot, predicting that people would require a third shot 6 to 12 months after the first two because the vaccine's effectiveness erodes in less than a year. They said that they would submit data to regulators within weeks, showing that a booster at 6 months caused antibody levels to shoot up 5 to 10 times higher than the original two-dose regimen. So that's something that we need to be watching out for. In fact, yesterday I heard a news story, Altu, which said that the Pfizer shots were not really effective against protecting against the Delta variant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Moderna
gracious.
was more effective as opposed to Pfizer, is what I heard.
So it gets you thinking, Faldrani. Now, what is the thing? Right? So basically, what they're saying is, okay, we need to get our booster shot. So it'll become like, there was a conspiracy about this even when they launched it. Pfizer, when they launched it, saying that, it's not going to be a one dose, it's going to be multiple. Every year, you've got to take these doses.
Right.
And isn't the vaccine costing around $100 per person, per jab?
Something like that,
Oh
right?
my
They
God.
got paid a whole big
Close
chunk
to
of
$1 billion or something they got paid, but I'm not kidding. It actually is, it's public data. You can actually go find out also if you Google and find out on these things.
Yeah.
But again, now they're saying that they need to get I don't know. Anyway, I heard a very interesting interview of Fauci on air yesterday, and he actually said that if at all you have 2 vaccinations, stay healthy, right? And he says it should work. But again, he requests that we all start using masks when we go into public areas,
Yeah.
right? And of course, if you're going to be with your own group of individuals, like which if it's all minimal, like sometimes people actually go to offices where there's not many people around the office itself.
Right.
He says even that's fine because he himself doesn't wear a mask when he goes to his office because his office, I believe, he interacts with very few people, 2 or 3 people only, and most of it is everything online. So he says he doesn't wear a mask in the office, but in the event he goes into public area or any kind of a closed or even open places for the matter, he says that it's better to have a mask on for some more time. And of course, and he urges as always, as I do, if you want to get vaccinated, get more information and get it done. It's okay.
Right, but in the meanwhile also, let's share with you, Banajan, Europe's drug regulator has found a possible link between a very rare heart inflammation and COVID-19 vaccines from Pfizer and Moderna, it said on Friday, stressing that the benefits of the shots outweighed any risks. The conditions called myocarditis and pericarditis must be listed as side effects of the 2 mRNA vaccines. The Safety Committee of the European Medicine Agency, EMA, said, adding that such cases primarily occurred within 14 days of inoculation. It said that cases occurred more often after the second dose and in a younger adult population, mostly men. This is in line with the US findings last month, and symptoms from the conditions include breathlessness, palpitations, and chest pain. EMA's safety panel has also advised that people with a history of a rare blood disorder, capillary leak syndrome called CLS, must not be vaccinated with the Johnson & Johnson shot. So you can get more information about that, Bandhajan, on mediamahima.com. In the meanwhile, like Altu said, the CDC is recommending in its guidance, in order for schools to reopen in the fall, that masking indoors is mandatory for everyone who is not fully vaccinated, children and teachers included, and about 3 feet of distance within classrooms. The CDC in its latest guidance said all kindergarten through grade 12 schools in the United States should continue to mandate wearing masks indoors by all individuals who are not fully vaccinated. The agency also said that if localities decide to remove prevention strategies in schools based on local conditions, they should remove them one at a time. The schools should monitor closely for increases in COVID-19 cases before removing the next prevention strategy. Let's talk a little bit about something that our Desi kids are very good at, the spelling bee.
Really?
Right?
They are?
Yeah. We have always, dominated the national spelling bee scene. But a black teen becomes the first African American to win the U.S. National Spelling Bee title on Thursday, marking a milestone for the community and in the process loosening the grip that Indian American kids exercised over the championship for the past 2 decades. Zyla Avantgarde, a 14-year-old from Louisiana, correctly spelled the word Moriah, a type of tree, to clinch the trophy, beating Chaitra Tumala, a 12-year-old 6th grader from San Francisco, and 9 other finalists, all but one of Indian origin. Chaitra slipped on neroli oil, a fragrant pale yellow essential oil. Zyla will receive a $50,000 cash prize and a host of scholarships, accolades, and headlines that accompany an event that has now become an American TV staple. First Lady Jill... Really?
What?
Why did you say yeah?
No, it's go on. You finish it.
First Lady Jill Biden, an English professor, was among those who dropped by at the event, which actually resumed its activities this year after being cancelled in 2020 for the first time in its 96-year history due to the pandemic.
And of course, Bhajan, see how ruthless the media is, including Fatwani.
Right.
The choice of words they use for talking about Tumala, she says she slipped on the word describing an oil.
On neroli oil, to spell neroli.
And she slipped on it.
Yeah. Isn't that cute?
What's cute?
I thought it's very nice.
Yeah, you slipped on the oil?
No.
Yeah.
She slipped, meaning she lost. Oh God, Alta Baba, you don't even know how the language
Slippery
is
oil. You
used.
give them slippery words, obviously it slipped. Come on, not fair.
Anyway, so that was from across the United States, but let's also tell you, Banajan, give you some information about what's happening with regard to the Florida Surfside condo. Even as searchers scramble to locate the remains of dozens of more victims of a Florida condominium tower collapse, debate has begun in this beachside community over what to do with the site where the building once stood. Should the prime beach property in Surfside be turned into a memorial, or should it be sold for hundreds of millions of dollars to raise money for victims and their kin? Experts in trauma stemming from a disaster said it's crucial that there be some type of physical place where the families of those killed in the June 24th collapse can visit. They also say creating that space should not be the responsibility of those facing the trauma. But in an excruciating twist, it'll be up to the survivors and family of those killed, who are the owners of the Champlain Tower condos and plot, to determine what exactly is to be done with the land that is now covered in rubble. And that is land where up to 76 bodies may still be buried because they've not been found. Officials said on Thursday that 64 remains have been recovered in one of the deadliest structure collapses in U.S. history. The fencing around the U.S. Capitol, you remember that, Banajan? It's going to be coming down 6 months after the Jan 6th attack, Workers are expected to begin removing the last of the high security fence around the U.S. Capitol as early as Friday, more than 6 months after former President Donald Trump's supporters launched a deadly assault on the home of the U.S. Congress. The 8-foot high black mesh fencing at one point surrounded several blocks of Capitol Hill, interfering with pedestrian and vehicle traffic, and sections that still stand, enclosing just the white domed Capitol complex, will take about 3 days to remove, according to the U.S. House of Representatives Sergeant at Arms William Walker. Biden's executive order to promote competition in the United States economy includes over 72 initiatives, and he wants over a dozen agencies to undertake to promote competition throughout the U.S. economy, according to a fact sheet released by the White House. The order goes after corporate monopolies across a broad swath of industries and specifically directs antitrust agencies to focus their enforcement efforts in the labor, healthcare, technology, and agriculture sectors. Inadequate competition holds back economic growth and innovation, the White House fact sheet said. The rate of new business formation has fallen by almost 50% since the 1970s as large businesses make it harder for Americans with good ideas to break into markets, the White House said, citing research from the Economic Innovation Group. So they're actually saying that lower wages are caused by lack of competition and are now estimated to cost the median American household about $5,000 per year. So that's why they're coming up with this whole new push towards, creating competition and stirring up small business in the United States. And finally, a U.S. judge ends Amazon challenge to a $10 billion cloud contract after the Pentagon cancellation. A U.S. judge on Friday dismissed Amazon.com's legal challenge to the Defense Department's 2019 decision to award a $10 billion Jedi cloud computing project to rival Microsoft Core after the Pentagon canceled the project. More details on that, you can actually go to MediaMahima.com. Amazon.com had then accused that President Donald Trump, alleging that the former president exerted improper pressure on military officials to steer the contract away from Amazon, is what it was said. And the Pentagon said it expected the new multi-billion-dollar contract would be split between Amazon and Microsoft. So more on these stories you can find on MediaMahima.com. Right now it's time for us to go to Agani Ka Kida.
That's our Benjamin Agani Kida coming for you guys, because this week we decided to remember the thespian, the late thespian, Dilip Kumar Saab. A beautiful song from his movie Naya Daur, which came out almost like 1957.
Wow.
Yeah, 70-year-old movie, Banujan. And this pretty much everybody keeps saying, right? You know, Haath Badhana. That's what's important, Banujan.
हाथ बढ़ाना साथी हाथ बढ़ाना एक अकेला थक जाएगा मिलकर बोझ उठाना साथी हाथ बढ़ाना.
And of course, Benjamin, a beautiful movie. If you haven't seen it, one of those movies I keep telling families to enjoy on a matinee, Sunday matinee. Sit down with the kids so you can enjoy this movie. It has a lot of values shared in this movie, Benjamin. Starting from industrialization, where this particular story is about a guy who actually is a Tanga person. If you notice that the particular trade has gone, wiped out of Indian thing.
Really?
Yeah, Tanga was no longer available anywhere.
Wow.
So there used to be a time, but they talked about how the motor industry was destroying it, and he actually creates a road for his Tanga to race a bus. It's a nice movie, check it out. It's called Naya Daur.
Have you seen the movie?
Yes, I have. This is one of those matinee things we used to do with the family, actually. It's a wonderful movie. Watch it, Banjan. Vajanti Mala is awesome in this. So is, of course, Dilip Saab. This movie, of course, Naya Daur, music was by Open Air Saab, who was at top level at the time. And also, lyrics is by Sahil Ludhianvi. Voices, of course, Asha Bhonsle and Rafi Saab.
साथी हाथ बढ़ाना साथी हाथ बढ़ाना एक अकेला थक जाएगा मिलकर बोझ उठाना साथी
And of course, Bhajan, this is one of the rare movies which actually, along with some of the classics, which got recolored. Matlab, they were not actually shot in black and white, but some people actually released the movie again in color. Yeah, it's actually re-rendered in color. So, in other words, it's not as accurate as what it is, but definitely you can also enjoy it in color if you want. If you don't like black and white movies, well, black and white movies देखना ही कुछ अलग बात है because the technicians that time did a wonderful job playing with chiaroscuro, which actually shadows, and how beautifully they do storytelling with these things. Well, I can talk for I can talk for pages together for this because I love this concept of black and white shoot video with the Jan. But right now it's time for us to go and take a look at what's happening around the world. Falzani, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a special report that is coming out on Reuters, Bunijan, about the Afghan pilots who were assassinated by the Taliban as the US withdrew. Afghan Air Force Major Dastagir Zamareh had grown so fearful of Taliban assassinations of off-duty forces in Kabul that he decided to sell his home to move to a safer pocket of Afghanistan's sprawling capital. Instead of being greeted by a prospective buyer at his realtor's office earlier this year, the 41-year-old pilot was confronted by a gunman who walked inside and without a word fatally shot the real estate agent in the mouth. Zamareh reached for his sidearm, but the gunman shot him in the head. The father of 7 collapsed dead on his 14-year-old son who had tagged along. The boy was spared but barely speaks anymore, his family says. So this is actually happening across Afghanistan. At least 7 Afghan pilots, including Zamareh, have been assassinated off base in recent months, according to 2 senior Afghan government officials. This series of targeted killings, which haven't been previously reported, illustrate what the US and Afghan officials believe is a deliberate Taliban effort to destroy one of Afghanistan's most valuable military assets, its core of US and NATO trained military pilots. A new video surfaces of the Mexican president Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador's brother receiving stacks of cash several years ago, just ahead of a national vote in which the now ruling party was competing in its first election. The new video marks the second time that a brother of the president can be seen accepting large amounts of cash several years before Lopez Obrador rode to a landslide presidential victory in 2018 on a pledge to root out rampant corruption. In the video, released late on Thursday by Mexican news outlet Latinos, Martin Jesus Lopez Obrador can be seen receiving an envelope stuffed with large stacks of bills, which a narrator says is almost 150,000 pesos and were part of a recurring set of payments.
And all the president could say was, "Oh Jesus, oh Jesus."
And some important information for Indians. The administration of the US President Joe Biden has rolled back a rule by the Trump administration, which had established a fixed time period of admission and an extension of stay procedure for non-immigrant academic students, exchange visitors, and representatives of foreign media. In what is good news to Indian students studying here, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security earlier this week withdrew the rule that was announced in September 2020, proposing to govern the length of stay of F&J students and certain international media category non-immigrants. Non-immigrants seeking to remain in the United States beyond their fixed period of admission would have been required to apply for extension of stay directly with USCIS or to depart the country and apply again at port of entry. In an announcement earlier this week, the DHS said that it has received more than 32,000 comments during the 30-day comment period, with more than 99% of them opposing this proposed rule, with many specifically requesting that the DHS withdraw it, and hence the Biden administration is rolling back this particular rule. And you can get more information about COVID curbs in India. The center is actually saying that the second wave is still not over. So please don't start talking about a third wave and take all the precautions during the second wave. In fact, there is some news that's coming out about a Kappa variant It's a new COVID-19 strain, and amid the increasing cases of the Delta Plus variant in India, the country has now reported 2 cases of the Kappa variant of the COVID-19. After genome sequencing of 109 samples of the virus was completed by Lucknow's King George's Medical College in Uttar Pradesh, it was found that 107 were Delta Plus and 2 were the Kappa variant. What is the Kappa variant? You can find out on mediamahima.com and find out where it actually originally appeared. You can get more information about that there as well. That's all we have time for on this morning's Good Morning Bay. We'll be back tonight live at 5 on the Pam Pam Show. Don't forget to tune in then. Have yourselves a fantastic Friday.
एक से एक मिले तो कतरा बन जाता है दरिया, एक से एक मिले तो जर्रा बन जाता है सहरा, एक से एक मिले तो राई बन सकती है पर्वत, एक से एक मिले तो राई बन सकती है पर्वत, एक से एक मिले तो इंसान बस में कर ले किस्मत.
But John, this is your darling Faltu Rani, and